Alrighty. Hello, my name is Jake Rubio, and I am the maintainer and creator of the plugin for Lackeyccg, the Arkham Horror LCG plugin. And I just kind of wanted to walk through everything you kind of need to know to get started with this plugin because Lackeyccg can be a little clunky at times. So the first thing that you're going to do after you update using the update URL that I have posted on the Arkham Horror LCG subreddit, as well as the Mythos Busters Discord, and I'll put it in the description here as well. Once you do that, you're going to want to go to the game section just to kind of make sure everything's working okay, and you can see kind of all the buttons that we've added here. So the first thing you want to do to get started is go to your deck editor in order to pick not only the scenario decks, but the chaos bag deck and your weaknesses and your investigator decks. So what I recommend starting with is the scenario that you're going to want to play. So let's say that we're going to start with the gathering scenario. You're going to go ahead and pick that, choose it, and it's going to automatically populate these zones up here. So it is split up into different zones. The encounter deck has its own zone, the act deck, agenda deck, so on and so forth. And what you have to do is you have to load each of those zones into the Lackeyccg game. So if you click something like load your entire deck to you or load to your, that's referring to you as the player, and you don't want the encounter deck to be anywhere in your game zones. You want it to be in its own encounter game zones over here, or in the shared game zones, because you can do multiplayer. So if I go ahead and just left click this like that, you'll hear that shuffle noise, and it'll load it to this game zone here. But you'll notice that it doesn't have the agenda or the act deck because you would have to do that individually. So if I click on the act, then you can load to shared act. Now a little shortcut is you can right click and you'll hear a little shuffle, and that'll make it so that you stay on this page. So you can go ahead and do that with every section, locations, right click, the set aside, right click. And now if I go to my offline game, you can see that I have my encounter populated, my chaos is not populated, my agenda is populated, my act, locations, and aside. Okay, and those are going to stay there until you repopulate that zone with something else. So let's go ahead and think about what kind of chaos bag we want. So again, we go to our deck editor, we click browse, we look at our Knight of the Zealot chaos, and we probably, I like to start on standard. I'm sure a lot of you do. We'll go ahead and choose that one and load shared chaos. Right click so that we stay on this page, because we're going to want to load up an investigator. Now this works similarly to the encounter deck, so we'll go ahead and maybe we'll start with Agnes here. We have again, deck refers to your deck, the player deck, and then investigators as a separate tab with the mini card and the player card, the investigator card, as well as maybe if for Ashcan, it's going to have Duke there in here as well, or any of your starter things. You can even put, if you really want to save a deck yourself, you can put your permanent cards in here as well, and that way you can have them out of your deck and ready to go. If you have that weakness that starts on the table that's permanent as well, just an easy way to kind of separate things. So for this one, you can actually load entire deck to you, and it'll automatically populate all of the zones to your zones. So we'll go ahead and do that. Deck, investigators. Okay, so we have almost everything. We do need an additional weakness. So we'll go ahead and load up these basic weaknesses. They're over here now. We'll load them to our shared weakness zone. Okay, so now that we've done all that, we can go ahead and start setting up the game. Trust me, it's a lot faster to do in practice. It takes some time if you have to explain everything, but it's a little easier in practice. Lackeyccg is pretty clunky in general. A lot of people gravitate towards Octagon. I understand that completely. This is good for people who have Macs like me or who want to play on their iPads. Everything works similarly on the iPad. Okay, so next thing you probably want to do is get everything on the table. So we'll go ahead and put our investigator on the table, our mini card on the table. It automatically populates you with 5 resources. Then we're going to go ahead and get our act and agenda. I like, you can do this however you want, but I like to put one out at a time.
What's going on?
Lackey does have some voice activated stuff, which is nice if it's hard for you to see. I usually just play with my Lackey muted because it gets a little silly to have to hear that robotic voice over and over. So let's move this over here. Yeah, so I like to put mine up here somewhere, and then I get my oh, you know what, we forgot. This is not coming with a scenario card for some reason. Okay, that's an error. So we'll choose this one. Let's pretend that this is our scenario card. It's the Midnight Masks scenario card, but you get the idea. We'll put this right here like this, and then, or you can even put it over here, whatever you want to do. So you get all those set up, and then we have our deck set up and our hand set up. So now all you got to do is draw for your starting hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mulligan whatever you want to mulligan. Set those aside. Do whatever you want to do like normal, and this is how you play. In order to draw the first encounter card, you can push this button here. In order to draw, you push this button here. So it's all hopefully pretty straightforward as far as what all these buttons do: adding resources, adding damage, and it will get a little bit cumbersome to have to click on the investigator, add a resource with this button, or subtract one. So you can set hotkeys. So I've put my up arrow, down arrow, right arrow, left arrow, alt up, alt down, etc., etc. But that you're going to have to do on your own. So you can go in here to preferences, you can go to key bindings, and you can set it up however you want to do it. Okay, I hope that this is helpful. Let me demonstrate the encounter deck. You just click it, shows you an encounter. Same thing with your tests, which you're going to be using a lot of. Say you want to get, we should probably get our locations out. Say you're in the study and you want to investigate. You can go and do that. You just click on, maybe I'll just do with my base skill of 2, not very wise, but you just go ahead and grab a chaos token, look over here, -2, we failed, oh no, add that back to the chaos bag, right click to shuffle, and you're ready to go. Another thing I kind of like to do is add resources to my mini card, just to show that they've taken turns or they've taken actions doing things. Kind of helps you to remember what's going on. Okay, I hope this helps. I might make another video in the future just showing a playthrough and what it kind of feels and looks like to play with Lackeyccg. Thank you.